Well, I think I'm going to switch over to driving this truck pretty soon rather than the old rusty Buick, so should probably pull it into the shop and check the oil and that sort of stuff, and maybe clean out the back of it here a little bit, because I don't need all this junk. I'll keep the spare, I suppose, but other than that, I think I'm good. See if it'll even run. Oh yeah, like a top. Well, we got oil pressure, so that's good. Where the gauge is broken, it's probably not so good. Come on, you can make it. There we go. Getting a little fuzz on my screen there. Yeah, that sounds normal. Normal and healthy for a rig like this. Ah, yeah, runs like a top. Well, let's pop the hood and see what we see. Alright, let's pop the hood on this piece of junk and see what we got. I suppose we'll check the oil first. Holy crap, there's oil in it. It's a little dark, but that's fine. I figured it'd be empty. I don't know, it looks wet at the bottom. I'm going to call that good. Yeah, there's something in there. You can top her off, I guess. Not a big deal. Well, we've got oil and coolant, so that's a plus. Well, now that I know we got oil and coolant in it, I'm going to go ahead and see about these bolts on the headers. They usually come loose, so I'm going to check them all. Didn't really want headers. They're really a pain in the butt, but when I was working on this first, the bolts on the exhaust manifolds were rusted away, and somebody put a bunch of putty in there to try to seal up the leak, and that was no good. So I had to pull the manifolds off and drill out the what was left of the studs, and then put new studs in, and that's a real pain in the butt. So I wanted this thing back on the road quick, so I bought some cheap eBay headers, and they suck. I'm sure this thing needs, I think, the rear spark plugs, because you can't really get them out of there with these headers on. It's not an easy task, so I think at some point I'll probably put these back on. I did get them drilled out and got new studs put in, so they're all back together. I just gotta pull these pieces of junk off and put those back on, but that might be a job for summer. The headers are working fine for now. I guess we'll check the power steering fluid while I'm here. Yeah, we're good. So you got all sorts of new parts. We were trying to track down a noise and replace the alternator and the clutch, fan clutch there. We got another one of those. Swapped out the AC from another truck, and that didn't fix it. And swapped out new pulley, that didn't fix it. Starting to think that maybe it's the water pump. This thing kind of screeches every now and again. It doesn't hurt the way it runs, but nothing could. But it is annoying when it's sitting there screeching when you're running. So maybe at some point we'll look at that. I don't know. We may end up throwing a 350 in here, because this is just a little weak old 305. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get those bolts tight if they're loose, and I think we'll probably go to the back and clean out the bed of this truck, because I don't need all that junk in there. Alright, I went ahead and I checked all the bolts, and only 5 were loose and 1 was missing, so I think we're doing pretty good. I did, however, notice that there is a little bit of a valve cover leak going right onto that spark plug that I can't get to, so I'm going to leave that alone. That's not a problem. It shouldn't be too bad of a little going to town rig. Got a new battery in it, new radiator in it, new alternator in it, and probably a bunch more new stuff I can't remember, but it should be alright. And if I do change this over to a 350 at some point, all these new parts won't go to waste. So Now that we checked the engine, I'm confident it'll make it to town. I think we'll go ahead and clean out the back of this thing, because I really don't need all this junk. There's no snow, so I don't need any weight in the back, at least not yet. Alright, that looks a little better. I did keep, of course, a spare and the lug wrenches and the coolant. Probably need all that stuff at some point. And I also found out that the tailgate doesn't work. So, you don't need those for trucks anyway. But I think we'll fire it up. I'll check the transmission fluid, and then I think we'll pull in the Buick here and we'll look that over, and I'll show you why I don't want to really drive it, especially in the winter if there's snow and ice on the ground. Perfect, like a sewing machine. Well, of course, the transmission fluid's low, and I don't think I have any, so yeah, it'll be fine. No problem. All good. I don't know if it's just cold or I got a head gasket. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It'll make it to town. Get this thing out of here and look at the other one. Alright, you rusty pile of junk. Into the shop. Turn that off. See if we can hear all the noises. Yeah, the brakes make noise. Yeah, it's fine. Been doing that for years. Alright, we got this thing in here. I got the hood open. Let's take a quick look at it and see why I'm getting rid of it. Pretty much everything under the hood is okay. I checked the oil. We had oil in it, so we're fine there. I was going to check the power steering fluid, because I think that pump is making a little noise, but they put the power steering reservoir way down there, and it's just a pain to get to, so I'm just going to assume it's fine. But yeah, I'm not getting rid of it because of anything under the hood that I know about. Oh, hey, I can see through my car. Nice. But yeah, under the hood's fine. The main reason I want to get rid of it is the battery is dead. That's one thing. Or not dead, but weak. If you saw my last video, I had the headlights on for about 15 minutes and the battery went completely dead. So I'm thinking the first really cold day we get, it's not going to start. And the alignment's off, and it's wearing my tires. And outside of it's completely bald here. So I would need new front tires. And I think if I took it to an alignment shop, they'd just send me a bill and say, yeah, we had to tow it to the scrap yard, and the scrap metal didn't cover the tow, so here's your bill. And of course, you know, there's a little bit of rust here and there, you know, speed holes. Good stuff. I don't think this tire is quite as bad, but yeah, it is wearing. You can see the chop there. I'm sure the suspension is all... Oh, hello. What are you? Oh, yeah. That thing kind of... Yeah, it'll be fine there. Yeah, so tires, battery, alignment, which I don't think could be done anyway. And, yeah, recently, this is the real reason I'm getting rid of the car. The little plastic thing that goes over the rockers fell off, you know, and I can't have people thinking I drive rusty junk, so got to keep up appearances, you know. So we'll have to get rid of it because of that, but... Let's jack her up. I'm thinking the subframe is kind of rocking and rolling, so let's get under there and see if I can make it wiggle. I'm thinking that's the main thing that's going to put this thing down. Alright, I've got you zoomed in here at the subframe and the bushing, and I'm going to go ahead and rock the wheel here, and hopefully you'll be able to see how much it moves. And it moves that much just with me grabbing onto the wheel here and wiggling a little bit, so you can imagine how much it moves when I'm driving down the road and I make a turn or something. That thing's just worn out. So that's the major reason I'm going to stop driving this car, because that subframe kind of holds everything in. It holds the engine in, transmission in, holds your steering in, so if that falls down, you pretty much lose everything. And the brake lines tend to rip off, and you can't do anything with the car. Add that to the tires being bald, and needs an alignment, and it needs a battery. It's really not worth fixing. It's kind of got some pretty gnarly rust down here. You can kind of see that gigantic hole under the part that's supposed to be the solid piece of the frame is gone. And it's pretty nasty. I'm honestly amazed that those pinch welds are holding them jack stands right now. But yeah, she's kind of junk. I could get new bushings for it. I think they're probably $150 for all of them. I haven't looked it up in a while, but I remember them being something like that. But when you got something this rusty, either you go to take that thing off and the bolt breaks, or that nut that's on top of here inside this is going to break loose and spin, and then the bolt will just spin and you can't get it out. Or the bottom of this is so rusty that the whole thing just falls off anyway. So fixing it's not really the best option. Yeah, that's not good. That one don't move as much, but that one does. Yeah, you shouldn't be able to do that, I'm pretty sure. Oh well, she's been a good car, but just too rusty.